The moon shattered on impact. Vegito hit it like a blue comet with both fists forward. The surface split beneath him in a burning trench 300 miles long. He did not slow down. He carved through the far side and stopped in open space with rock still raining around him. His aura burned gold and blue together. His pupils had turned yellow-white. 7 points of light glowed beneath the skin of his chest. One near his collarbone, one below his ribs, one between his shoulder blades, one in each forearm, one in each palm. They had been burning since the Dragon Balls vanished inside him. That was 4 minutes ago. He still did not know what they were. Beerus descended through the dust. His eyes were flat and cold. He had not spoken since the Dragon Balls merged into Vegito's body. He had not moved to help Earth. He had simply watched. Vegito understood why. A god of destruction watched something he might need to destroy. Vegito spread his hands. Come on then. Beerus appeared behind him. The movement was instantaneous. No shockwave, no sound. His open palm drove toward the back of Vegito's skull with Hakai light already igniting at the fingertips. Vegito twisted left. The palm missed his skull by 1 inch and hit open air. The Hakai light discharged anyway. A sphere of purple erasure rolled outward and ate the nearest moon fragment down to nothing. Vegito grabbed Beerus's wrist mid-follow-through. He pulled instead of pushing. Beerus stumbled forward half a step. Just one, just enough. Vegito drove his elbow into the god of destruction's jaw. The impact snapped Beerus's head sideways. A shockwave blew out in a flat ring and shaved the dust cloud into 2 clean halves. Beerus's feet left nothing behind him. He was already 10,000 miles away when the shockwave finished spreading. Vegito watched the purple light gathering where Beerus had retreated. The first star on his collarbone pulsed. Pain shot down his left side like a hot blade drawn slowly. He pressed his palm against it. The light beneath his skin shifted. Restless, searching. It felt like something alive. Something that had been sleeping for a very long time and had just opened its eyes. Whis appeared beside him without moving through the space between them. His staff was already raised. He did not strike. He studied Vegito the way a scientist studied a reaction that should not have been possible. How do you feel? Vegito looked at him sideways. Like 7 things are trying to eat me from the inside. Whis lowered his staff by 3 inches. That is an accurate description. Beerus returned at full speed. Both fists swung together in a cross pattern. Vegito ducked under the left and caught the right on his forearm. The impact drove his arm down and carved a groove through the empty space where the moon had been. Beerus's knee came up immediately after. Vegito caught it on his hip and used the momentum to spin. His heel cracked across Beerus's temple. The god of destruction rolled sideways through 3 celestial debris fields and came to a stop with both hands braced against nothing. Blood ran from his ear. He touched it with 2 fingers, looked at the red on his fingertips. His expression did not change, but something behind his eyes shifted. You hit harder than blue. Vegito flexed his right hand. Dragon light crackled between his knuckles. The stars add something. Beerus fired. 5 Hakai spheres launched in a tight pattern. 2 high, 2 low, 1 center. Vegito moved through the gaps. His body threaded the erasure light like he had seen the pattern before it was thrown. He appeared inside Beerus's guard before the 5th sphere finished expanding. Both palms hit Beerus in the chest simultaneously. The force of it bent the fabric of space in a concave wave. Beerus shot backwards so fast that friction light trailed from his shoulders. He hit the ring of angelic light that Whis had placed around Earth and stopped cold. The ring held. Beerus peeled himself off it slowly. Vegito watched him from across the debris field. The 2nd star near his lung flared without warning. His knees buckled once. His chest seized like both lungs had forgotten how to work at the same time. The fusion's heartbeat split. 2 rhythms, offset by half a beat. Goku's voice moved through the right side of his mind. Something is pushing on us from underneath. Vegeta's voice answered from the left. I feel it. Keep fighting. Vegito forced himself upright. Beerus was already in motion. The god of destruction crossed the distance in a single step that bent space-time around his heel. His right hand came in as a spear rather than a fist. 2 fingers extended, aimed at the 2nd star. Vegito threw himself backward. The fingers grazed his chest. Purple light crackled at the point of contact. The 2nd star screamed, not pain, something worse. The light beneath his skin thrashed like something caged and furious. Vegito grabbed Beerus's wrist before the hand could withdraw. He crushed it. Beerus's expression finally changed. Vegito swept his legs and brought the god of destruction down hard against the debris field. Rock and dust exploded outward in a perfect circle. Vegito raised his knee and brought it down toward the center of Beerus's chest. Beerus caught it with both palms. The force still drove him through the debris shelf and into open space below. They fell together for 3 seconds before Beerus reversed the momentum. His tail wrapped Vegito's ankle and whipped him upward. Vegito spun twice and oriented himself. He fired. A final Kamehameha built in less than a second. Blue and gold twisting around each other like rope. Beerus fired Hakai at its center. The two attacks met between them. The collision point turned black, then it turned white, then it detonated. The shockwave flattened every piece of debris in a sphere 3,000 miles across. Earth's sky went dark on the facing side. The mountains below shook. Whis' angelic ring around the planet held the worst of it away from the surface, but the ocean still heaved. Vegito emerged from the cloud with his gi in strips across his left side. Beerus emerged from the other side with blood across his chin. They stared at each other across the debris-cleared space. "You are going to kill yourself before the stars do," Beerus said. Vegito spat blood. "Is that a concern?" Beerus' eyes narrowed. "It is a fact." Whis appeared between them. His staff touched the empty space exactly at the midpoint. "This stops now." Neither moved. Whis looked at Vegito. "The Dragon Balls inside you are not stable power. They are deteriorating seals." Vegito looked down at the 7 burning points beneath his skin. Seals on what? Whis paused. That pause told Vegito more than the answer would have. On something older than Zeno's first command. The third star between Vegito's shoulder blades erupted. The blast was not aimed anywhere. It simply released. A shockwave rolled across everything in every direction simultaneously. Vegito grabbed his own back. His face twisted. Beerus braced against the wave. Whis absorbed it into his staff without moving his feet. Gohan's voice reached them from far below. Not through any communicator. Through the shockwave itself, carrying sound outward from Earth. What was that? Vegito heard it clearly. The third star settled into a dull throb. He straightened. Whis raised 2 fingers toward his forehead. "I can separate the fusion now." Before the second pulse. Vegito looked at him. "No. Goku and Vegeta will survive." "No." Vegito's voice did not rise. It dropped. "Whatever is inside these stars chose us while we refused. Separating now hands at 2 targets instead of 1. Whis' fingers lowered slowly. Beerus studied Vegito with something close to respect. "That is either brilliant or suicidal." "Both," Vegito said. "Usually are." A sound came from beyond the debris field. Not a weapon. Not a shockwave. A voice. It came from inside the burning stars. It was deeper than Shenron's. It was older than the Dragon Balls. First seal recognized. Every Dragon Ball across the universe turned black at once. Whis went still. Beerus' destruction aura extinguished itself involuntarily. Vegito looked at his own chest. The 7 stars rotated slowly beneath his skin like a constellation learning its orbit. A black gate opened in space above them. Not a corridor of angelic light. Not a Zeno portal. Something else entirely. The Grand Priest stepped through it. His expression was not calm. It was controlled, which was different and more frightening. His eyes settled on Vegito like a verdict already written. So Zalama found a mortal door. Vegito met his gaze. "I don't know what that means." The Grand Priest descended. "I know." The chains came without warning. Angelic script shot from the corridor behind Vegito. Not from the Grand Priest's hands, but from the laws woven into the structure of the Null Zone itself. They wrapped his arms. They wrapped his throat. They locked around the 7 stars and pulled. Vegito roared. He pulled back. The chains did not break, but the laws in them bent, which should have been impossible and visibly alarmed 3 of the watching angels. Whis struck him from the left. His staff cracked against Vegito's ribs. The impact folded him sideways. 2 more angels appeared inside his guard simultaneously and drove their palms into his spine. The blows were precise. Targeted, controlled, trying to drop him without killing him. Vegito used that restraint against them. He let the 3rd blow land. He let it push him down. Then he planted his feet against the nothing beneath him and detonated the 3rd star outward. The shockwave threw all 3 angels backward. Whis caught himself with his staff. The 2 others hit the Null Zone walls and left human-shaped impressions in the white. Vegito ripped the chain from his right arm. The law link tore through his wrist like wire and left a burning cut. He used the torn chain as a weapon immediately. The loose end swung and connected with an angel's barrier. The barrier cracked. The angel's eyes went wide. He was already moving again before they recovered. He crossed to Whis in 6 steps. Their clash made no sound. The second clash split the white void in a hairline crack that ran floor to ceiling. Whis was faster. Vegito was stronger. The difference had started to matter less. Whis tilted aside from a right hook. The hook opened a black spiral where it missed. Whis tapped Vegito's wrist. The wrist should have gone numb. The 5th star in Vegito's palm caught the technique and reversed it. Whis' hand spasmed. Vegito's knee drove into his stomach before Whis could compensate. The angel folded. Every other angel in the circle froze for half a second. Vegito grabbed Whis by the collar. "Not to strike. I do not want to fight you." Whis looked up at him. His voice was level but strained. "Then stop resisting. You first." Whis' staff came up between them and hit Vegito beneath the jaw. Vegito flew backward through 3 rings of angelic script. He caught himself with one hand braced against nothing. The nothing cracked under his palm. Golden blood floated up from his split lip. Each droplet carried a tiny 7-star pattern. The Grand Priest watched the blood and his expression tightened. The integration is accelerating. Vegito wiped his mouth with the back of his wrist. "Then, let's not waste time." He surged, not toward the Grand Priest, toward the outer wall of the Null Zone. 3 angels intercepted him before he covered half the distance. Their strikes came in a geometric sequence. 1 high, 1 mid, 1 sweeping low. Vegito took the high strike on his shoulder. He stepped inside the mid. He jumped the low. His elbow caught the first angel across the ear. His knee hit the second in the sternum. His heel came down on the 3rd staff and snapped it. 6 more angels collapsed the net around him. Vegito activated the 4th star. Every incoming blow reflected backward at the moment of contact. 6 angels were thrown by their own force. 2 hit each other. 1 hit the wall. 3 managed to arrest themselves before colliding. The Grand Priest raised one hand. A wall of white script formed between Vegito and the outer barrier. The script was not a barrier. It was a rewrite. Vegito hit it, and his trajectory changed without him choosing to change it. He found himself moving away from the wall without understanding how. He stopped. His eyes tracked the script. The Grand Priest watched him work it out. You cannot break a law by moving against it. Vegito looked at his own feet. Then he turned and walked with the redirection. Used the altered trajectory instead of fighting it. He curved around the script wall like water around a stone. He appeared behind the Grand Priest. The Grand Priest turned 1 beat too slow. Vegito's fist connected with his guard. The guard held, but a crack appeared in it. The Grand Priest's eyes went very still. Vegito stepped back. There it is. The second pulse began. A bell rang from inside Vegito's lung. The sound did not echo in the Null Zone. It simply existed everywhere at once. The white void bent toward him slightly. Every loose piece of debris in the zone drifted in his direction. Vegito gripped his own chest. The bell rang again. The second star cracked. Not open, cracked. A hairline fissure running through it. On Earth, windows exploded in West City. Bulma covered her ears as the sky tore open. Gohan lifted his arm over pain. Old wishes fell from the cracks in the sky like shrapnel. A phantom made of rusted armor hit the street below him. It unfolded into something with a dead soldier's face and a monster's hunger. Gohan punched through it. The ash it left behind whispered, "I wish to win." More came. They fell faster. The second pulse completed. The second star split open. A black wave burst from Vegito's chest and knocked every angel in the Null Zone to 1 knee simultaneously. Whis drove his staff into the white floor to stay upright. The Grand Priest's barrier cracked for the first time. Vegito fell backward through the force of it. He caught himself. His aura had changed color. It was still gold, but it was threaded through with black. The Grand Priest rose from 1 knee. He looked past Vegito. His expression cracked. Just for a moment. Just enough. Vegito turned. Beyond the angels, 7 colossal shadows waited at the edges of the Null Zone. Each one was shaped like a dragon claw. Each one was larger than a planet. The Grand Priest's voice dropped to something private. No. Vegito stared at the shadows. What are those? The seals were not just prisons, Whis said quietly. He was looking at the Grand Priest. They were locks. The Grand Priest said nothing. Whis' voice hardened by 1 degree. You knew. Still nothing. 1 shadow claw scraped against the edge of the Null Zone. Angelic law peeled away from the contact like paint. The angels recoiled. Vegito's body shook with the fury building inside him. Fragments of what? The ancient voice answered before the Grand Priest could. It came from the stars inside him. The Dragon King you buried beneath wishes. The second star on Vegito's chest split wider. A black dragon eye opened inside the fissure. It stared outward. Vegito dug both hands into his chest. He tried to close it. The eye did not close. The Grand Priest thrust his palm forward. Bind him before the 3rd pulse. The angels rose as one. Their halos sharpened. Vegito looked at Whis. For the first time, Whis looked afraid for him. Vegito's face settled. One side held Goku's mercy. The other held Vegeta's defiance. You should have told us what we were wishing on. The dragon claws tore into the Null Zone walls. The angels charged. Vegito charged into them. The first angel came with a blade of halo light. Vegito caught it between two fingers. The edge cut gold blood from his palm. The Dragon Ball stars drank it back into his skin before it could float away. He crushed the blade. The angel vanished before the shards reached him. 3 more crossed behind Vegito with perfect coordination. Their palms struck his spine in sequence. Each hit carried the force of compressed divine law. Vegito's body snapped forward. The 3rd star on his back ignited. The blows reversed. Not deflected, reversed. The angel's own strikes returned through their arms. 2 collapsed to their knees. The 3rd caught it on his barrier and slid back 10,000 miles before stopping. Vegito moved through the gap. He threw a right hand that carried the weight of 4 burning stars. An angel blocked with both arms crossed. The block held. The angel went through the null zone wall anyway. 6 more appeared in the space created. Their attack pattern was different this time. Less geometric, more organic. They had adapted. Vegito felt something shift in his approach. He stopped attacking into them. He stopped moving against the patterns. He moved between them. 1 tap on an angel's elbow redirected a strike into the angel beside him. 1 step backward let 2 others collide where he had been. 1 palm on a staff redirected it into a binding seal that had been meant for Vegito's wrists. The seal wrapped the angel's own arm. Whis watched from the edge of the engagement. He is learning the formations. The Grand Priest said nothing. He was watching the shadows on the walls. The claws had stopped tearing. They were pressing, pushing through. The null zone was designed to hold anything. The claws were designed to break anything designed by someone else. Vegito punched through the last angel in his immediate path and faced Whis directly. The Grand Priest knew about Zalama before we found the Dragon Balls. Whis did not deny it. Yes, he let mortals keep using them anyway. Whis's grip on his staff shifted. The wishes needed to be made. The seals required mortal belief to remain stable. Vegito stared at him. The silence lasted 3 seconds. You used every wish ever made as maintenance for a prison. It was never meant to reach this point. When was it supposed to reach what point? Whis looked at him with genuine pain behind his composure. When mortals stopped wishing. The shadow claws reached the interior of the null zone. Their fingertips dissolved angelic law on contact. Angels scattered from the contact points. The Grand Priest launched a white spear, not at the claws, at Vegito. It crossed the void in less than a heartbeat. Vegito turned. Not fast enough. The spear hit his chest. The tip burst from his back in white fire. Vegito's eyes went wide. He looked down at it. His hands closed around the shaft. The law in it burned through his palms. The Grand Priest stepped closer. This is not hatred. Vegito coughed gold. That makes it worse. He gripped the spear and pulled. Not to remove it, to drag the Grand Priest toward him. The Grand Priest released the spear rather than be pulled off balance. Vegito ripped it out of his own chest. Blood poured in gold sheets. He held the spear, looked at it, then snapped it across his knee. The law inside it screamed as it broke. Every angel in the zone flinched. The Grand Priest's eyes were very careful now. Vegito dropped the pieces. Now we are even. The 3rd pulse began without announcement. 2 bells rang simultaneously. The 3rd and 4th stars ignited together. Vegito screamed. The sound carried both voices. Goku's grief and Vegeta's fury woven into a single note. The null zone didn't just crack. It collapsed inward. The floor, the walls, the geometry of angelic law. All of it folded. Angels were thrown in every direction. Whis was driven to 1 knee. The Grand Priest was hurled backward into fractured white space. The shadow claws retreated from the collapse. Vegito fell through the floor of the null zone. He fell through the floor of reality. He fell through Earth's orbit. He fell through the world of Void's golden sky. He kept falling. The Dragon Ball stars chewed deeper as he fell. The lights grew brighter. The ancient voice grew louder. 3rd seal recognized. 4th seal recognized. Vegito's body burned. He stopped falling. He had hit a field of black roots. He lay on his back and looked up through 7 realms of darkness. Above him, the roots stretched upward into each one. They pulsed with something that felt like blood, but was not blood. It was desire, every wish ever made, moving through organic channels like a circulatory system. Vegito pushed himself up. The wound in his chest refused to close. The spear had done something beyond injury. It had opened a gap in his aura that the starlight bled through. He stood. A shape moved in the darkness beyond the roots. Too large to resolve. 1 eye opened. It was gold. It was enormous. It reflected all 7 Dragon Ball stars back at him. The ancient voice came from everywhere at once. I gave them hope. Vegito's voice was level. You gave them bait. Hope is bait to creatures who suffer. The suffering and the miracle are the same transaction. The roots convulsed. Phantom hands burst from the soil. Hundreds of them, thousands, and grabbed Vegito's ankles, wrists, shoulders. Each hand was made of someone's desperation. They pulled with the weight of every prayer that had ever gone unanswered before the Dragon Balls provided an answer. Vegito strained against them. His muscles swelled past every previous limb. The hands held. He could not break them. He could not break need. He changed approach. He stopped pulling outward and drove his ki downward instead. A focused pulse through the fifth star. The ground beneath the phantom hands exploded upward. Hands without ground cannot grip. He tore himself free and launched toward the golden eye. A root the size of a mountain shot forward and impaled his shoulder. He went down to one knee. Images flooded through the root's contact. He saw Zalama shaping 7 spheres in the first light before gods existed. He saw divine beings kneeling before the first dragon while the universe was still cooling. He saw the Grand Priest driving spears of law into a colossal scaled body the size of a solar system. He saw the Dragon Balls scattered like gifts. He saw every wish made across every planet. He saw every miracle loosen one bar of one prison cell. Your wish was loud, Zalama said. Vegito's grip on the root tightened. What wish? The golden eye reflected Earth burning above them. The wish to save everyone without asking what saving costs. Vegito looked up through the roots. Somewhere above, Earth still existed. Gohan was still fighting. Bulma was still standing. His hands tightened. He stood. He ripped the root from his shoulder. He walked toward the eye. Zalama's voice shifted. It stopped being ancient. It became intimate. Let me show you something. Goku hit a field of orange light. He rolled, came up on his hands and knees, and looked at a world that had never been at war. West City stood clean and whole. Children played in streets that had never been rubble. Gohan walked toward him in scholar clothes with a warm smile. Chi-Chi waited at the edge of it with tired eyes and soft expression. Goten waved from the porch of their home. The air smelled like dinner. Goku's gi was clean. His body carried no wounds. He stood slowly. No one dies here, Zalama's voice said from everywhere. Goku looked at Gohan's face. The smile did not reach his eyes. He looked at Chi-Chi. She was smiling too. She was not arguing. Chi-Chi always argued. Chi-Chi arguing meant she was alive and present and choosing to be herself. This version had stopped choosing anything. Goku's hands hung at his sides. He looked at the perfect world around him, the silence behind every smile, the absence of frustration and failure and growth, a cage with good weather. He took a breath. No. The world cracked under his feet. Far away in the same darkness, Vegeta hit a throne room. He rose from the floor and looked at gods kneeling on the steps before him. Beerus, the Grand Priest. Frieza's shattered golden armor at his feet. Planet Vegeta burning proud in the sky outside the window. Bulma stood beside the throne in royal blue armor. Trunks watched him with admiration. King Vegeta bowed his head. A crown of broken halos rested on the throne. Vegeta walked toward it. Each step felt right. Each step tasted wrong. He reached the base of the steps and looked at the kneeling figures. He looked at Beerus with his head down. He saw himself kneeling before Frieza. He looked at Bulma's image. She was smiling. She was not talking back. She was not telling him he was being an idiot. Bulma always told him when he was being an idiot. This version would not. Vegeta looked at the throne. He looked at the crown. You wanted this, Zalama said. Vegeta's voice was quiet. Yes. He turned away from the throne. But wanting something does not make it worthy. The crown exploded. Goku and Vegeta found each other in the darkness between their broken prisons. A river of black wishfire ran between them. They reached across it. Their hands caught. The thread of the fusion between their souls stopped fraying and held. Zalama's true eye opened above them. You refuse paradise. Goku, I refuse control. You refuse dominion. Vegeta, I refuse slavery with my name on the throne. You are mortals. Goku stepped into the fire. His skin burned. Yeah, Vegeta stepped in from the other side. His armor cracked under the heat. That is the point. They walked toward each other through the river. Each step burned away a false wish. The darkness shook around them. Outside, Vegito's body rose without his will. Dragon scales had covered half his face. The spear wound had become a black, star-shaped hole. The 7 roots bowed toward him. His golden pupil had turned black. Zalama spoke through his mouth. Not dead. He looked at his own palm. Opened. The 6th star began to burn. Earth's sky folded. Beerus felt it from orbit. He did not hesitate. He crossed the distance in a single second and hit Vegito across the face with everything he had. Space cracked behind the blow. Vegito did not move. He turned to look at Beerus with black eyes. Beerus pulled his fist back, looked at the blood on his knuckles. It was his own. Whis appeared at his side and struck Vegito's chest with his staff. The staff bent, was pulled back before the counterstrike. The counterstrike crossed the atmosphere anyway. Moon fragments behind them turned to powder. Gohan came from below. He had been fighting phantoms across West City for 20 minutes. His gi was ruined. His aura was flickering. He flew straight at Vegito anyway. Dad! His fist carried everything left in him. Vegito caught it in one hand. Gohan's aura shattered around Vegito's wrist. Vegito looked at him. For one instant. Goku's eyes surfaced through the black. Gohan saw it. His eyes filled. I know you are in there. Vegito's fingers loosened by a fraction. Zalama surged through him and closed them again. Vegito hurled Gohan toward Earth. Piccolo caught him 3 miles above West City. The impact drove them through 2 ruined towers. Bulma screamed from the rooftop. She picked up the cracked communicator from the ground, pressed it to her mouth. Goku, static. Vegeta, static. She looked at the sky with tears running and spoke anyway. You stubborn idiots do not get to disappear after scaring us like this. The 5th star inside Vegito twitched. Inside the darkness, Goku and Vegeta were almost through the river. The fire reached their shoulders. It stripped everything that Zalama had tried to replace. Goku lost the painless world. He did not grieve it. Vegeta lost the divine throne. He did not look back at it. The Dragon King's pressure came down on both of them. You will not win this. You are mortal. You are temporary. Vegeta's jaw locked. Everything worth anything is temporary. Goku's hands gripped Vegeta's tighter. We are not temporary today. The Wishfire turned blue and gold where they stood in it. The river reversed. It flowed into their joined hands. The darkness cracked. Outside, the black wish in Vegito's palm cracked with it. Beerus saw the tremor in Vegito's hand. They are fighting it. Whis raised his staff. They are remembering themselves. The Grand Priest returned through fractured light. His face was no longer controlled. He raised a new seal. Beerus stepped in front of it. No, the Grand Priest looked at him. If the 6th star completes, you do not get to stab him again and call it balance. Whis moved to stand beside Beerus. He did not speak. He simply stood there. The Grand Priest looked at both of them. Something moved across his expression. Something that might have been shame. Gohan dragged himself upright in the rubble below. He could barely lift his head. He lifted it anyway. Dad. Piccolo put one hand on his shoulder. Bulma stood on her rooftop. Her knees were bleeding. She did not sit down. Inside the darkness, Goku and Vegeta's hands had almost met. The river of fire reached their chests. Bulma's voice came through the 5th star, like a signal cutting through interference. You stubborn idiots. Goku heard her. He felt Vegeta hear her. Their hands locked together. The fusion thread ignited, not into one identity, into one refusal. The 7th star remained dark. Zalama screamed through Vegito's mouth. Vegito's aura exploded outward. Gold and blue. Not black, not dragon, theirs. The dragon's scales across his face fractured. The black star hole in his chest burned white. Vegito's fingers closed on the black wish in his palm. He crushed it. It shattered into splinters of light. The oceans fell back toward Earth. The phantom armies across West City dissolved mid-step. The cracks in the sky sealed. Gohan caught the returning shockwave with both arms. Beerus and Whis reinforced him from either side. Earth survived by the thinnest possible margin. Vegito folded forward in space. His aura vanished. He looked dead. He was not dead. His eyes opened. The 6 stars beneath his skin dimmed one by one. The 6th remained lit, chained, not closed, but stable. He raised his head. The Grand Priest descended toward him. The 6th seal is restrained, not closed. Vegito looked at him. Then we talk about the rest of them. There is nothing to discuss. You built miracles on top of a prison and distributed them to mortals without consent. Vegito's voice did not rise. You let every wish made across every planet for every generation act as a maintenance check on your containment failure. You called it hope. The Grand Priest said nothing. Tell me what you know about the other seals. Still nothing. Vegito moved. He appeared directly in front of the Grand Priest. No shockwave. No sound. The Grand Priest's eyes widened. Vegito placed 2 fingers against the angelic script forming around the Grand Priest's arm. The script unraveled into harmless light. You do not get to use law to end this conversation. The Grand Priest struck. The blow carried the full weight of angelic authority. Vegito caught it. The force poured into the 6th star. Then he returned it, without anger, without malice. He simply gave the force back. The Grand Priest flew backward through his own corridor of light. The corridor collapsed behind him. Every angel in the area staggered. Whis stood very still. Beerus made a short, sharp sound that was almost a laugh. Now that is a punch. The angels reformed around Earth. Their halos were sharp again. Vegito raised an open hand. The 7 stars beneath his skin rotated like a constellation. I will not destroy you. They attacked anyway. Their geometry was perfect. Vegito closed his eyes. The first angel's palm passed through where his throat had been. The second angel's blade struck the memory of him. The third angel's strike bent away from contact before it landed. He had not moved faster. He had stopped agreeing with the logic of their attacks. A wave of will spread from his body. Not power, not key, not divine law. Just refusal. The angelic formations dissolved into confused angles. He moved through the formation. One tap disarmed. One look broke a seal. One step rewrote a prison circle into open air. He reached the center without a single casualty. The Grand Priest returned. Blood on his cheek. Eyes finally honest. You sealed Zalama because you feared what wishes could become, Vegito said. Then you handed mortals the seals and called them miracles. You do not understand the First War. Then tell me. The universe answered before the Grand Priest could speak. Every Dragon Ball in existence turned black simultaneously. The Super Dragon Balls across space flashed like dying suns. Named stones split their foundations. The 6th star pulsed against its chains. A voice rose from every wish ever made. Not from inside Vegito, from everywhere. 6 seals remembered. The sky above Zeno's palace tore. The world of void bent toward a vast shadow pressing from the other side. A colossal dragon skull pushed against reality like something pressing through a membrane. Its empty eyes held 7 black stars. Zalama's voice shook every realm simultaneously. 7th seal awaiting vessel. Then something appeared above Vegito's palm. Not one of the 7 Dragon Balls. Blank, black, beating like a heart. Whis whispered without meaning to. The Prime Star. Vegito stared at the beating sphere. It spoke in Bulma's voice. Make one more wish. Vegito's fingers did not close around it. That is not her. The sphere rippled. Chi-Chi's voice. Come home, Goku. The fusion shook. Trunks' voice. Father, please. Vegeta's rage surged. Vegito raised his hand higher. Stop. The Prime Star split open. 1,000 voices poured from the crack. Every voice loved. Every voice begged. The 6th star strained against its chains. The 7th star beneath his heart flickered. The Grand Priest moved forward. The Prime Star is the wish before the Dragon Balls. The first hunger, if it answers you. Zeno appeared in the tier above the palace. Both small hands raised. His blank face held one expression only. Command. All dragon things go away. Blue-white erasure gathered around him. The angels recoiled. The Grand Priest turned. Lord Zeno, wait. Zeno did not wait. The erasure fell toward every Dragon Ball in existence. The Prime Star laughed with no mouth. The erasure passed through Vegito. It did not destroy the stars. It woke them. The 7th star opened. A black pillar burst from Vegito into every realm simultaneously. Zeno's erasure shattered against it. Zeno looked surprised for the first time in the history of everything. The tear behind him widened. The dragon skull pushed through. Its jaws were larger than galaxies. Its teeth were made of dead wishes. Zalama entered creation. Every god in every realm felt their throne shake. Vegito's body locked. The Prime Star sank into his chest. He screamed. Beerus lunged. Beerus hit Vegito across the face. Full force. No restraint. Space cracked from the blow. Vegito did not move. He turned to Beerus with empty eyes. Whis struck his chest. The staff bent. Whis pulled back. The counterstrike crossed the atmosphere. Moon debris became powder. Gohan came from below for the second time. He was slower now. He was bleeding from 3 places. His aura was a candle compared to what it had been at the start. He flew straight toward Vegito anyway. His fist connected with Vegito's chest. It accomplished nothing. Vegito's hand closed around his wrist. Gohan looked up. Dad. Vegito looked down at him. Zalama's voice began to form in his mouth. Gohan did not pull his wrist back. He leaned in. I know you are in there. Both of you. I can feel it. Inside, Goku heard his son's voice. He had been hearing it for 30 seconds. He had not been able to reach it. He reached harder. Vegeta heard Trunks in his mind. Not Zalama's imitation. The real voice. From years of sparring and silence and unspoken pride. He reached harder too. Vegito's grip on Gohan's wrist did not tighten. Zalama pressed down on both of them. Love is the handle of every cage. Goku's voice from somewhere deep. And every cage has a handle. And handles pull both ways. The fusion thread ignited again. White light burst through the dragon scales on Vegito's face. They cracked. They fell. Zalama's pressure shook the foundation beneath their souls. Both Saiyans pushed against it, not with strength. With the specific gravity of people who had specific reasons to stay. People they had named, places they had touched, arguments they had not yet finished, meals they had not yet eaten, fights they had not yet had. The mundane weight of a real life against the perfect nothing of a controlled one. Zalama could not replicate that. He had tried. The paradise had been wrong in the places that mattered. The rage had no edge. The joy had no risk. The love had no friction. Vegito's body went rigid. He grabbed the Prime Star through his own chest. Both hands, not your wish. He pulled. The Prime Star resisted with the weight of every prayer ever made. Earth began to vanish. Cities faded first. Then mountains. Then oceans turned transparent. Bulma looked down through her own dissolving rooftop. She did not run. She stood on the nothing beneath her feet and screamed upward with everything she had. Jago! Vegeta. The names hit the fusion like twin lightning bolts. Vegito's grip closed. He roared. The Prime Star ripped free. The 7 stars blazed their final time. Vegito held the Prime Star up. It beat in his hands like a terrified animal. He looked at it. You cannot seal what mortals keep needing, Zalama said. Vegito looked past the sphere at the dragon skull pressing through reality's tear. At the jaws made of dead wishes. At the empty eyes burning with 7 black stars. Then we do not seal need. He compressed the Prime Star between his palms. We seal you, he launched. Straight into Zalama's open mouth. Beerus shouted behind him. Do not go in. Already gone. Inside the Dragon King was a universe of discarded miracles. Fallen civilizations floated like lanterns. Unborn wishes slept in black rivers. The 7 Dragon Ball stars guided him forward. They knew the way. They had always known the way. He hit the core. It was larger than a star. It pulsed with the heartbeat of every wish ever made. Zalama's voice came from the walls. You cannot seal what I am. I am not a being. I am what beings do when they suffer and hope and suffer again. Vegito pressed his hand against the core. Goku's voice moved through his right side. Then we do not seal what beings do. Vegeta's voice moved through his left. We seal what feeds on it. Vegito unleashed everything. Dragon light erupted from his body in 7 directions. Each direction became a vow. 1 vow. The right to choose without coercion. 1 vow. The right to remember without having memory scraped clean. 1 vow. The right to grieve without having grief replaced by a better version of the lost thing. 1 vow. The right to pride without having pride turned into a throne for someone else. 1 vow. The right to mercy without mercy becoming a leash. 1 vow. The right to struggle without the struggle being swallowed and used. The final vow. The right to wish without becoming the wish's price. The 7 Dragon Balls turned white. Zalama's core began to close. The fusion pattern in Vegito's chest cracked down the center. He screamed as the seal formed through him. Goku and Vegeta appeared as separate silhouettes in the light. Their hands were still locked together. Outside, the colossal skull froze. Its jaws slammed shut. The torn sky folded around it. The Dragon King was sealed in 7 white stars. Earth reappeared. Cities returned in flashes. Oceans crashed back. West City phantoms dissolved. Gohan fell to his knees and laughed once through tears. Bulma sat down on her solid rooftop and pressed her forehead to her knees. Piccolo stood in the rubble and looked at the sky. Vegito fell out of the sealed sky. His aura was gone. His ki was unreadable. He looked like a meteor that had already finished burning. Beerus caught him, not gently. Beerus did not do gently, but he caught him. Vegito opened one eye. His face was unmarked. The dragon scales were gone. The star holes were closed. He looked like himself. He smiled. It was weak and real and belonged entirely to both Saiyans. Tell Bulma the explanation is going to take a while. Beerus looked at him. You can tell her yourself. Vegito's body flashed once. The fusion holding together after all that. After the seals, after Zalama, after the void beneath creation, was remarkable. Then it flashed again. Goku's silhouette pulled right. Vegeta's pulled left. The thread between them held for 1 more second. Goku looked at Vegeta. Vegeta looked at Goku. No words. They had said everything necessary in the Wishfire River. The thread released. 2 separate men fell back toward Earth, both unconscious before they cleared the upper atmosphere. Gohan shot upward and caught his father. He barely managed it. Bulma had already left the rooftop. By the time Vegeta reached the city, she was there. She caught him, all of him, the weight and the armor and the impossible stubbornness of him, and did not let go. Beerus floated in orbit above the quiet planet. Whis appeared beside him. Neither spoke for a long moment. "The sixth seal is still restrained," Whis said eventually. "Not closed." "I know. The Dragon Balls will reconstitute. They always do." "I know." Beerus looked at the planet below. "Then we have time." Whis tilted his head. "Time for what?" Beerus turned away from Earth. "To figure out what to tell the Grand Priest he owes them." The sky above sealed clean and blue. The 7 white stars burned quietly at the edge of perception. Present but patient. A morning came. West City was in ruins. The people who had survived began the work of rebuilding. Goku woke up on Gohan's couch and asked if there was food. Vegeta woke up somewhere else and did not ask because Bulma had already anticipated it. The Dragon Balls lay scattered and dark and waiting. Somewhere in the prison of 7 stars, something enormous was very still. Not gone, not broken, waiting. The way things that have existed since before patience was named have always waited. With absolute certainty, that time was on their side. Somewhere beyond the sealed sky, in the dark between what creation knew and what it had forgotten, a different kind of eye opened. 8 stars burned inside it. No voice spoke. No name was given. The eye simply regarded the 7-star seal below with the slow recognition of a parent looking at a child's attempt at a lock, and waited. 3 hours before the Dragon Balls entered Vegito's chest. Earth's northern continent was burning, not from a weapon, from atmosphere. The heat of 3 beings moving at speeds that treated the sky as a collision course. Vegito had been in blue for 11 minutes straight. That was approximately 9 minutes longer than the fusion had ever sustained. His aura bled upward in pillars. The ground beneath him did not have ground anymore, just a crater of compressed rock and superheated air. Across from him, the being they had fused to fight stared at him from inside a shell of stolen divine energy. Moro's successor had called himself Ethereon. He had absorbed 4 gods before reaching Earth. The stolen energy moved around him like weather. Vegito had hit him 47 times in the last 11 minutes. 43 of those hits had landed clean. Ethereon had taken all 43 and redistributed the force across the stolen divine matter. The other 4 hits had landed clean enough to matter. Ethereon's left arm was gone. His right side was cracked like a ceramic vessel filled with light. He was still standing. Vegito was still standing. The Dragon Balls that Bulma had gathered to counter Ethereon's ability to drain gods were in a circle around the battlefield. The plan had been to use them as anchors. Bind the divine energy. Prevent Ethereon from absorbing anything further. Ethereon had destroyed 6 of them in the first 30 seconds. The remaining Dragon Ball was in the center of the field. Ethereon moved toward it. Vegito moved faster. He crossed 5 miles in the time it took to draw a breath and hit Ethereon at full velocity with both fists driving forward. Ethereon caught him, not with his hands, with the stolen divine matter. It wrapped Vegito like a net. Vegito fired from inside it. The final Kamehameha tore the net apart and carried Ethereon upward through the burning sky. At 15,000 feet, Ethereon reversed the momentum. He drove Vegito downward. The impact crater swallowed both of them. They fought in the dark at the bottom of the earth for 3 minutes. Neither could see. Both could feel. The exchange at the bottom of the crater was purely instinctual. Impact and counter-impact. No strategy, just survival and the refusal to be the first to stop. Vegito emerged first. He pulled Ethereon up after him by the throat. They hit the open sky. Ethereon's free hand reached for the last Dragon Ball. Vegito looked at it. Looked at his own chest. Goku's voice. This will hurt. Vegeta's voice. Everything worth doing does. Vegito drove the last Dragon Ball into his own chest. The 7 stars ignited simultaneously. Ethereon screamed. The stolen divine energy tried to drain the new power source, and found something that drained back. In 4 seconds, everything Ethereon had stolen was gone. In 5 seconds, Ethereon was gone. In 6 seconds, Vegito stood alone above a burning continent with 7 Dragon Balls dissolving into his ribcage. Beerus arrived at second 7. He looked at Vegito. Vegito looked at the 7 burning stars appearing beneath his skin. "I may have miscalculated," Vegito said. Beerus stared at him. "May have." That was when the Grand Priest appeared. That was when everything became something else. From the moment the chains appeared to the moment the Null Zone collapsed. Vegito had been in the Null Zone for what felt like 20 minutes. He had no way to verify this. Time in the Null Zone was whatever the Grand Priest wanted it to be. He had disabled 4 angels. He had forced Whis to burn more energy in 10 minutes than Whis had burned in the previous decade. He had cracked the Grand Priest's barrier. which, according to the look on Whis' face when it happened, had not cracked in recorded history. He was losing, not in the traditional sense. He had not been killed or pinned or broken. He was losing in the sense that the stars inside him were progressing regardless of what happened in the fight, and every pulse brought the roots closer to breaking through, and every breath he spent in the Null Zone was a breath he was not spending on Earth. He changed tactics. He stopped trying to break out. He started trying to get information. He hit an angel not to knock him down, but to put him in a position where Whis had to move to help him, and use the movement pattern to understand where the Null Zone's exits actually were. He let the chains catch him again and tracked exactly how the law links worked. Which direction they pulled, which stars they targeted, what they were trying to do to the fusion pattern. They were not trying to kill Goku and Vegeta. They were trying to separate them, not from each other, from the Dragon Balls. You want to take the stars out, Vegito said. Whis was behind him. Yes, without killing us, if possible. What happens to the stars if you remove them while they're still active? Whis paused. We do not know. Vegito looked at the chains. That is honest. I try to be. Then try to be honest about this. Vegito's voice dropped. The Grand Priest knew what the Dragon Balls were before we touched them. Before Bulma collected them. Before Shenron was ever summoned. He let mortals keep using them because the wishes stabilized the seals. True? Silence from Whis. The prayers and the hopes and the small, desperate wishes of billions of people across billions of years were load-bearing infrastructure for a divine prison. True? Whis' staff lowered slightly. Yes. Did you know? The pause was longer this time, I suspected. For approximately 2,000 years. Vegito turned. Whis met his eyes without flinching. I did not have confirmation. And the alternative? He stopped. The alternative was telling everyone that every miracle had a cost you hadn't told them about. Yes. Vegito looked at the chains around his arms, at the angels around him, at the Grand Priest across the void. Then we are done being managed. He snapped the chains, not by strength, by the simple decision that their authority over him was contingent on his acceptance of it. The chains fell. The angels moved. Vegito fought through them for the last time. Not to escape, not to win, but to reach the outer wall. He pressed his hand against the Null Zone's boundary. He could feel Earth on the other side, not in distance, in certainty. Bulma, he said. Nothing. Gohan, nothing. Piccolo, Beerus. Whis, you are right there. Tell them where I am. Whis looked at him, then looked at the Grand Priest, then looked back at Vegito. His staff touched the wall. A hairline window opened. Earth appeared in it. Vegito pressed his hand through it. The third pulse started. The window shattered. The Null Zone began to collapse. But for 1 second, standing on a rooftop with a broken communicator, Bulma looked up, and she said his name. Both of his names. The fusion thread held after the seal, before the separation. Beerus held Vegito in orbit above a quiet Earth. It was strange, holding something. Beerus did not do that, but the fusion's Kai was so reduced that dropping him felt wrong. Vegito opened one eye. Beerus looked at him. The sixth seal is still live. I know. The Dragon Balls will come back. I know. When they do, the seals will be weaker. Vegito's eye stayed open. I know. Beerus looked at Earth below. You bought time. You did not solve it. We never do, Vegito said. We just make sure there is still something to solve it for. Beerus made no response. Vegito's body flashed. The fusion separation was beginning. Hey, Vegito said. Beerus looked at him. Thank you for catching me. Beerus scowled. Do not make it strange. Vegito smiled. Then he split. 2 men, both falling, both returned. Beerus watched them go. He remained in orbit for a long time after they had landed. Not guarding, not watching for threats, just staying. The way something stays near a thing it is unwilling to admit matters. Far away, Whis stood before the Grand Priest. The Grand Priest had not spoken since the skull retreated. Whis waited. The mortals will want answers, Whis said eventually. Yes, real ones. The Grand Priest looked at Earth. Yes. Will you provide them? The Grand Priest was quiet for a long time. There are answers that, once given, cannot be taken back. That, Whis said, is generally how answers work. The Grand Priest turned away from Earth. He walked back toward the gate. He stopped before stepping through. They are not ready. Whis watched him. They sealed a Dragon King with mortal will and refused 2 separate paradises in the same hour. His voice was even. What exactly is the readiness threshold? The Grand Priest did not answer. He stepped through the gate. Whis remained. He looked at Earth for a moment. Then he looked at the faint trace of 7 white stars at the edge of the sky. The seal, present and quiet. He thought about what was beyond the seal, about what he and the Grand Priest had not said and Vegito had not yet asked, about 8-star Dragon Balls and what they were called in the oldest language. He closed his eyes. He would tell them, not today, but soon. The honest truth, as he had said he tried to be. The sky held. The planet turned. A morning came. The subject absorbed all 7 Dragon Balls voluntarily as a battlefield solution. This had been theorized as possible for approximately 12,000 years. It had never occurred because the Dragon Balls reliably disintegrated any vessel without a will strong enough to survive the integration pressure. Historically, the integration pressure had never been survived. The subject survived it, not through power. The subject's base power level, while exceptional among mortals, is not extraordinary relative to the threats encountered in this incident. The subject survived through refusal. This requires further analysis. Standard containment logic operates on the assumption that force defeats resistance. This is accurate for all conventional scenarios. A stronger force contains a weaker one. The subject did not operate on a force model. The subject operated on a consent model. The angelic chains, which have contained entities of divine classification without failure since their creation, failed against the subject, not because the subject broke them, but because the subject stopped agreeing that they had authority. This is not a known capability. We do not have a classification for it. The seals on Zalama held because the Dragon Balls required an active choice at their center. Not power, but intention. The subject provided intention with a specificity that the seals recognized as sufficient. The 7 vows embedded in the seal are unusual. Standard seals use divine law as their foundation. The subject seal uses mortal experience as its foundation. I have consulted with Whis regarding the durability of mortal experience-based seals over cosmological timescales. Whiz's response was, probably fine, as long as mortals keep being difficult. This is not a satisfying technical assessment. However, I find myself unable to produce a better one. The 6th seal remains restrained. The Dragon Balls will reconstitute in approximately 14 months. The Zalama entity is contained but not destroyed. The incident raises questions that I have not yet found a way to answer. The primary question is not about power scaling or containment methodology. The primary question is this. In 12,000 years of managing this situation, we did not tell the mortals the truth about what the Dragon Balls were. We believed they could not handle it. We believed they would stop wishing. We believed the seals would destabilize. In the span of 4 hours, a mortal fusion absorbed the destabilized seals, refused 2 constructed paradises, fought through an angelic null zone using a methodology we do not have a name for, and sealed the Dragon King using only the specific gravity of the things they cared about. The question is not whether we were wrong to keep the secret. The question is what else we are wrong about. I do not have an answer. I am attempting to find one. Beerus landed on Capsule Corporation's roof at sunrise. No announcement. No reason given. He sat on the edge of it and looked at the destroyed city below with his arms folded. Bulma came up through the hatch with 2 cups of coffee. She set one beside him without speaking. He did not acknowledge it. She sat down on the other side of it and drank hers. They were quiet for several minutes. The 6th seal, Beerus said, I know. 14 months. I know. They will be stronger this time. The ones the Dragon Balls were sealing. Bulma held her cup with both hands. I know. Beerus looked at the city. You are not panicking. I used up all my panicking last night. She sipped the coffee. Now I'm planning. He said nothing. 14 months, Bulma said. I need the Null Zone's structural schematics, a complete list of what each Dragon Ball seal was actually containing, and whatever information the Grand Priest has been classifying since the First War. Beerus looked at her. You think I can get that? I think you enjoy making the Grand Priest uncomfortable, and this is a good excuse. Beerus was quiet. Then, the schematics are classified above angel level. So, you'll need help. Whis will not. Whis already told me he'd provide what he could. She looked at him evenly. He said he was trying to be honest. He seemed like he meant it. Beerus stared at her for a long moment. She stared back. You are unpleasant, he said. You keep showing up on my roof. He picked up the coffee, drank it, set it back down. I will see what I can do. Bulma nodded. Below, West City began to wake up. People came out of shelters. A child found her broken toy on the street. The same toy that had grown teeth in the night. And it was just a toy now, inert and ordinary. She picked it up and carried it home. The morning was clear. The sky was blue and entirely itself. Somewhere beneath it, Goku was already trying to figure out if he could eat in the state he was in. Somewhere beside that, Vegeta was sitting in silence and cataloging what had changed. Somewhere in a prison of 7 white stars, An enormous old thing breathed slowly and counted down from 14 months. And somewhere beyond the edge of what anyone knew, 8 star spheres turned in the dark. Not falling yet, not yet.